Okay. So you want to buy a fitness center? It sounds like one of the smartest businesses you could possibly buy. Every January, thousands of people promise themselves they'll finally get in shape. They sign up, swipe their membership cards, and commit to paying every single month. Inside, rows of treadmills quietly hum, free weights wait to be lifted, and exercise machines stand ready from sunrise until late at night. On the surface, it looks almost perfect. People pay before they even use the product. The equipment can last for years. Memberships renew automatically. And every new customer seems to add another predictable stream of recurring revenue. It almost feels like a business that runs itself. But the moment you step behind the front desk, everything begins to look very different. Because a fitness center isn't really selling workouts. It isn't selling treadmills, dumbbells, or squat racks. It isn't even selling health. Those are simply the visible parts of a much larger economic system. The real product is something far less tangible. It is motivation. It is routine. It is the hope that tomorrow will be better than today. Every membership represents a promise someone makes to their future self, and the entire business depends on that promise lasting just a little longer than their excitement. That's the first paradox. Most people believe a successful gym depends on members showing up every day. In reality, if every member actually arrived at the same time to use every machine they were paying for, the business would quickly become overcrowded, frustrating, and nearly impossible to operate. The economics only work because people buy access, not constant usage. Every empty treadmill isn't always a sign of failure. Sometimes it's exactly what keeps the business alive. That idea feels backward, yet it sits at the heart of nearly every membership-based business in America. The value isn't created by maximizing how often every customer uses the service. The value comes from balancing capacity, expectations, convenience, and recurring payments. Suddenly, owning a fitness center no longer looks like owning a room full of expensive equipment. It starts to look like managing an invisible system where psychology, scheduling, real estate, technology, customer habits, and financial forecasting all have to work together every single day. A beautiful facility alone isn't enough. The newest equipment alone isn't enough. Even a packed parking lot doesn't guarantee success. Because every month, members join. Every month, members leave. Every month, equipment wears down, rent comes due, payroll must be covered, and new competitors open just a few miles away. Behind every smiling person walking through the front door is a business constantly balancing costs that never stop and revenue that can disappear much faster than most people imagine. So before you can understand how anyone builds a profitable fitness empire, you first have to understand the invisible economic machine hiding behind every membership card, every check-in, and every promise to start fresh on Monday. The moment someone signs a membership agreement, it is easy to assume the transaction is about fitness. One person pays a monthly fee, walks through the front door, exercises for an hour, and leaves healthier than before. That is the story almost every customer believes they are buying. But from the perspective of the business, something far more interesting has just happened. The fitness center has not simply sold access to equipment. It has entered into a recurring relationship that may last for months or even years. Every renewal quietly transforms a single sales transaction into a predictable stream of future cash flow. That is why the most valuable asset inside the building is not the newest treadmill or the largest collection of free weights. It is the growing base of members who continue paying whether they visit twice a week, twice a month, or occasionally skip an entire season before returning again. This changes the entire way you should look at the business. Most traditional retailers start every month from zero. They have to convince customers to come back and make another purchase. A fitness center begins each month with thousands of existing commitments already in place. Before a single smoothie is sold, before one personal training session is booked, before one new prospect schedules a tour, a significant portion of revenue may already be expected simply because members remain enrolled. That stability is incredibly valuable, but it creates a different challenge. If recurring revenue is the engine, retention becomes the fuel. Suddenly, Every decision inside the facility serves a larger purpose. Clean locker rooms are not only about comfort. Friendly staff are not only providing customer service. New equipment is not purchased only because older machines wear out. Group classes are not organized simply to burn calories. Every improvement is designed to answer one silent question. Will this member still be here next month? Even small frustrations begin carrying financial consequences. A broken treadmill left unrepaired for several days. A crowded parking lot during peak hours. Locker rooms that no longer feel inviting. Long waits for popular machines. None of these problems immediately destroy the business. Instead, they slowly weaken the emotional connection between members and the facility until renewal becomes less automatic than cancellation. At the same time, another invisible force is always at work. Every community has a limited number of people actively searching for a place to exercise. Competing fitness centers are chasing the same households, the same professionals, the same families, and the same students. Marketing attracts attention, but experience determines whether that attention becomes long-term revenue. The strongest operators understand that every member follows a journey rather than a transaction. Excitement brings them through the front door. Routine keeps them coming back. Familiar faces create belonging. Small personal victories reinforce commitment. Eventually, the fitness center becomes part of weekly life instead of another subscription competing for space on a credit card statement. That transformation cannot be purchased with better equipment alone. It is carefully built through hundreds of operational decisions that most visitors never notice. And once you begin seeing the business through that lens, the rows of machines become something entirely different. They are no longer the product. They are simply one component inside a carefully engineered system designed to keep thousands of individual habits moving in the same direction, while quietly turning consistency into predictable economic value. As the business grows, another reality begins to emerge, one that has very little to do with exercise itself and everything to do with capacity. Every fitness center operates within invisible limits. There are only so many parking spaces outside the building. Only so many lockers inside the locker rooms. Only so many treadmills available during the busiest hours. Only so many instructors who can teach classes at the same time. Every square foot has already been assigned a purpose long before the first member walks through the front door. Yet when people look at a busy facility, they often assume the obvious solution is simply to attract more members. In reality, adding members without understanding capacity can quietly damage the very experience that keeps existing customers loyal. This is where the economics become surprisingly counterintuitive. Imagine every member deciding to visit at 6 o'clock on Monday evening. Every treadmill would be occupied. Every bench would have a line. Every parking space would disappear. The locker rooms would become crowded, classes would fill instantly, and the experience that originally attracted customers would begin pushing them away. Ironically, the facility would be full while satisfaction steadily declined. That is why successful operators never measure success by attendance alone. They measure how attendance is distributed across hours, days, seasons, and even different areas inside the building. Every schedule becomes part of a carefully balanced equation. Early morning members create one pattern. Lunch break visitors create another. Evening professionals arrive after work. Weekend families follow an entirely different rhythm. The objective is not to maximize how many people enter the building at one moment. It is to maximize how efficiently the facility serves thousands of individual routines across an entire week. This explains why many fitness centers actively encourage behavior that spreads demand rather than concentrating it. They introduce early morning classes, midday promotions, late evening programs, and specialized training sessions designed for different lifestyles. The building itself never becomes larger during the day, but the usable capacity effectively increases because people naturally distribute themselves across different time periods. Suddenly, time becomes just as valuable as physical space. Every unused hour represents inventory that can never be stored for tomorrow. An empty treadmill at 2 o'clock in the afternoon cannot be saved and sold at 7 o'clock in the evening. Once that hour passes, its earning potential disappears forever. This makes a fitness center surprisingly similar to other capacity-driven businesses where every passing hour carries economic value whether customers are present or not. The challenge becomes even greater as membership continues growing. More members increase recurring revenue, but they also increase expectations. Existing customers expect shorter wait times, cleaner facilities, reliable equipment, and enough personal space to enjoy their workouts. Expanding too quickly without protecting those expectations can slowly erode the trust that recurring revenue depends upon. The strongest operators understand that growth is not simply about selling more memberships. It is about expanding the system without allowing the experience to collapse under its own popularity. Every scheduling decision, every equipment purchase, every renovation, and every adjustment to operating hours becomes part of a much larger strategy. What appears to be a room filled with exercise machines is actually a carefully balanced network of capacity management, behavioral forecasting, and operational discipline where every additional member creates both a new opportunity and a new responsibility. Once the system has been carefully balanced, another question naturally follows. Where does every dollar actually come from? Most people would immediately answer with memberships, and they would be partly right. Memberships provide the financial foundation, but they are only the beginning of a much larger revenue engine. A well-operated fitness center rarely depends on a single stream of income because every member represents multiple opportunities over the course of their relationship with the business. The first payment often begins before the first workout. Some facilities charge enrollment fees, allowing the business to recover part of the cost of acquiring a new customer. From there, monthly or annual memberships create recurring cash flow that helps stabilize operations. Yet even those predictable payments are only one layer of the economic model. As members become more committed to their goals, many begin looking for guidance. Personal training becomes a natural extension of the original membership, transforming one recurring payment into a significantly higher lifetime value. Others join specialized classes that offer structure, accountability, and community. Whether it is strength training, cycling, yoga, or functional fitness, these programs allow the same physical space to generate additional revenue without requiring an entirely new facility. Then come the purchases that seem almost insignificant on their own but become meaningful when multiplied across hundreds or thousands of members. Bottled water, sports drinks, protein shakes, branded apparel, nutritional supplements, towels, locker rentals, recovery tools. Individually, each transaction appears small. Collectively, they create another layer of steady income that strengthens the business beyond membership dues alone. Corporate wellness programs introduce yet another dimension. Instead of acquiring one customer at a time, the fitness center builds relationships with employers seeking health benefits for their workforce. A single agreement can introduce dozens or even hundreds of new members while reducing marketing costs per enrollment. Digital services have expanded this ecosystem even further. Mobile applications, virtual coaching, workout libraries, nutrition tracking, and online communities allow the relationship with members to continue long after they leave the building. The fitness center is no longer limited by its physical walls. Every additional service increases the value of staying connected while creating new ways to generate revenue from the same customer base. What makes this model especially powerful is that these income streams reinforce one another rather than competing against each other. A member who works with a personal trainer is more likely to remain engaged. A member who attends group classes develops stronger habits. Someone who visits consistently is more likely to purchase beverages, merchandise, or premium services. Each layer quietly increases retention while expanding the economic value of every relationship. This creates a compounding effect that is easy to overlook from the outside. The objective is not simply to attract more people through the front door. It is to deepen the relationship with every individual already inside the system. That is why experienced operators often focus just as much on increasing lifetime value as they do on increasing total membership. One loyal member who remains engaged for years while participating in multiple services may contribute far more to the business than several members who leave after only a few months. At this point, the fitness center begins to resemble something very different from the simple business most people imagine. It is no longer just a building filled with exercise equipment. It has become a carefully connected economic network where every interaction, every service, and every additional commitment strengthens both the customer's long-term journey and the stability of the entire business. As every source of revenue becomes more connected, another layer of the business quietly takes shape, one that most members never notice because it has nothing to do with the equipment they use and everything to do with the choices they make. Every fitness center is carefully designed to influence behavior without forcing it. The lighting is rarely accidental. Bright enough to create energy, but comfortable enough to encourage people to stay longer. Music fills the space not simply to eliminate silence, but to establish rhythm, pace, and atmosphere. Mirrors cover entire walls, allowing members to observe progress while also making the facility feel larger than its physical dimensions. Equipment is arranged with purpose. Popular machines are positioned where activity attracts attention, creating subtle social proof that encourages participation. Open training areas generate movement that makes the entire facility appear active even during slower hours. Group exercise studios are often placed where visitors can see classes in progress, quietly communicating that people like them are already succeeding. None of these decisions guarantee that someone will become healthier, but together they create an environment that makes returning feel easier than staying away. This behavioral design extends far beyond architecture. New members are frequently introduced through orientation sessions because the first visit is often the most uncertain. Personal trainers help establish routines before motivation fades. Mobile applications record completed workouts, celebrate milestones, and send reminders that reconnect members with goals they may have temporarily forgotten. Group classes create familiarity between participants, turning anonymous customers into recognizable faces. Over time, relationships become another reason to return. Missing a workout no longer feels like skipping exercise. It feels like missing a community that has become part of weekly life. This is where psychology quietly becomes one of the most valuable assets in the business. Human motivation naturally rises and falls. Almost everyone begins with excitement. Many encounter periods of inconsistency. The facilities that survive over many years understand that lasting success depends less on creating motivation than on reducing the effort required to maintain habits. Every small convenience matters. Easy parking. Simple check-in procedures. Clean facilities. Reliable equipment. Friendly greetings. Flexible operating hours. Each improvement removes one more excuse that could interrupt a member's routine. At the same time, successful operators recognize that members do not all seek the same experience. Some value efficiency and complete their workouts in less than an hour. Others enjoy spending time with friends after classes. Some pursue athletic performance. Others simply want to remain active as they grow older. The strongest facilities do not force everyone into one path. They create multiple pathways that allow different lifestyles to coexist under the same roof while still contributing to the same recurring economic system. Even moments that appear ordinary begin serving a larger purpose. A trainer remembering someone's name. Staff noticing when a familiar member has been absent. Seasonal fitness challenges that encourage consistency. Educational workshops about nutrition or recovery. Individually, these actions seem small. Collectively, they strengthen emotional commitment far beyond the monthly payment itself. Eventually, the relationship evolves into something much deeper than access to exercise equipment. Members begin identifying with the place rather than merely visiting it. And once that shift occurs, the business has accomplished something far more valuable than selling another membership. It has become part of a person's routine, identity, and expectations, transforming everyday habits into one of the most durable competitive advantages a fitness center can build. No matter how carefully the experience has been designed, every fitness center eventually faces the same unavoidable reality. Survival depends just as much on controlling costs as it does on attracting members. From the outside, the business appears straightforward. Members arrive, exercise, and leave. But behind the scenes, an entirely different system operates every hour of every day. Long before the doors open each morning, expenses are already accumulating. The building itself represents one of the largest financial commitments. Whether the property is leased or owned, the facility must generate enough revenue to justify thousands of square feet of premium commercial space located where people can easily reach it before work, after work, or on weekends. A great location attracts members, but it also carries a higher price. Then comes the equipment. Commercial-grade machines are built for durability, yet they are not permanent investments. Cardio equipment requires regular servicing. Cables wear down. Upholstery must be replaced. Electronics become outdated. Strength equipment experiences constant use from hundreds of people every week. Maintenance is not optional because reliability directly affects the member experience that keeps recurring revenue alive. Staffing introduces another layer of complexity. Front desk employees create first impressions. Trainers provide expertise and accountability. Maintenance teams preserve cleanliness and safety. Managers coordinate operations, schedules, and customer relationships. Every employee contributes to the system in a different way, and every payroll cycle represents a commitment that continues regardless of seasonal fluctuations in attendance. Utilities quietly become another major operating expense. Heating during winter. Air conditioning throughout the summer. Lighting across expansive workout areas. Hot water for locker rooms and showers. Ventilation systems designed to keep large indoor spaces comfortable throughout the day. These costs continue whether 100 members arrive or 1,000. Marketing never truly stops either. Every month, some members relocate, change priorities, or simply decide that their fitness journey no longer fits into their routine. Replacing those departing members requires continuous advertising, partnerships, referrals, digital campaigns, community events, and local visibility. Even facilities with excellent retention understand that maintaining a healthy membership base requires constant investment in attracting new people into the system. Competition only increases the pressure. A new boutique studio opens nearby. A national franchise offers discounted promotions. A luxury wellness club introduces premium amenities. Home fitness technology becomes more sophisticated. Outdoor recreation grows more popular during warmer months. None of these developments destroy the business overnight, but each one slowly reshapes customer expectations and forces operators to adapt. The greatest challenge is that many of these costs remain fixed while revenue depends on human behavior that is constantly changing. Economic uncertainty, seasonal routines, personal finances, family responsibilities, and shifting lifestyles all influence whether members continue paying. Each month, the business cannot control those decisions. It can only create an experience valuable enough that members choose to remain. That is why the strongest operators rarely focus on maximizing short-term profits at the expense of long-term trust. Delaying maintenance, reducing service quality, or neglecting the facility may temporarily lower expenses, but every compromise slowly weakens the invisible relationship that recurring revenue depends upon. In the end, owning a successful fitness center is not simply about filling a building with equipment or selling memberships. It is about continuously balancing investment, operational discipline, customer satisfaction, and financial resilience within a system where every decision echoes through every other part of the business. Once a fitness center has learned how to survive, the next challenge is learning how to grow without breaking the very system that made it successful. This is where the business begins to transform from a single location into something much more powerful. At first, growth seems simple. Open another facility in a nearby neighborhood, purchase more equipment, hire another management team, and repeat what already works. But duplication alone rarely creates an enduring business. The real advantage comes from building systems that become stronger as every new location is added. A single fitness center negotiates with suppliers as one customer. A regional chain negotiates as dozens of locations. Equipment manufacturers, cleaning services, technology providers, beverage distributors, apparel companies, and maintenance contractors all begin offering better pricing because larger purchasing volumes create greater efficiency for everyone involved. Suddenly, every additional location does more than generate its own revenue. It reduces costs across the entire organization. Branding becomes another powerful asset. A neighborhood gym must earn trust from every new resident who walks through the front door. A recognized brand arrives with familiarity already established. Potential members have seen advertisements, heard recommendations from friends, or visited another location while traveling. Confidence develops before the first tour even begins. That familiarity lowers customer acquisition costs while making expansion into new markets less uncertain. Data quietly becomes another competitive advantage. Every membership renewal, class reservation, equipment usage pattern, and seasonal attendance trend generates information that helps operators understand how members actually behave. Over time, those insights improve staffing schedules, equipment placement, marketing campaigns, operating hours, and future site selection. The larger the network becomes, the more accurately it can anticipate demand. Decisions become less dependent on intuition and increasingly guided by measurable patterns gathered across thousands of members and multiple communities. Franchising introduces yet another path to expansion. Instead of investing capital to build every location directly, the business creates a system that independent operators can adopt. The parent organization provides branding, operational standards, technology, training, and ongoing support, while franchise owners contribute local investment and day-to-day management. Revenue no longer depends solely on one building serving one community. It begins flowing through licensing agreements, franchise fees, and continuing royalty payments that grow alongside the expanding network. Yet greater scale also creates greater responsibility. Consistency becomes one of the hardest challenges to maintain. Members expect the same quality whether they visit a suburban location, a downtown facility, or another state while traveling. A single poorly managed club can weaken trust in the entire brand. Every expansion therefore requires stronger training systems, clearer operational standards, more advanced technology, and constant oversight. The business is no longer managing exercise equipment alone. It is managing reputation across an increasingly complex organization. This is the moment when ownership takes on an entirely different meaning. The greatest fitness companies are no longer defined by how many treadmills they own or how many square feet of workout space they operate. Their true value lies in the systems they have built to attract members, retain relationships, optimize operations, negotiate at scale, and replicate success again and again. The building may still look like a place where people come to improve their health, but beneath that familiar exterior exists an economic network that becomes more efficient, more resilient, and more valuable with every successful expansion. At that point, the business is no longer growing because it owns more equipment. It is growing because it has learned how to own a system that can continually reproduce itself. By now, the business no longer resembles the simple idea that first attracted so many aspiring owners. What once appeared to be a collection of exercise equipment has revealed itself as a carefully connected economic system where every decision influences revenue, costs, customer behavior, and long-term stability. Yet even the largest and most successful operators understand that growth never eliminates uncertainty. It simply changes its form. Consumer preferences continue evolving. New generations expect different experiences than the members who joined 10 or 20 years ago. Some prioritize convenience above everything else. Others seek personalized coaching, boutique experiences, recovery services, or digital flexibility that allows them to exercise wherever they happen to be. Technology accelerates those changes even further. Wearable devices track performance in real time. Artificial intelligence-powered coaching platforms deliver customized workout recommendations. Connected home fitness equipment competes for the same limited hours of attention that traditional facilities once dominated almost entirely. Every innovation forces operators to ask a difficult question. Should they protect the business they have already built, or should they invest in becoming something their members will need tomorrow instead of what they wanted yesterday? Economic cycles create another layer of uncertainty. During periods of strong consumer confidence, discretionary spending often expands, allowing more households to invest in health and wellness. During periods of financial pressure, however, families begin reviewing every recurring subscription. Entertainment services, premium memberships, and optional monthly expenses suddenly compete against one another for space within the same household budget. A fitness center may continue delivering excellent service while still experiencing slower growth simply because broader economic conditions influence purchasing decisions beyond its control. Demographic shifts reshape the market as well. Growing suburban communities create opportunities for expansion, while changing population patterns may reduce demand in other areas. Employers adopting flexible work arrangements alter the hours when members choose to visit. Aging populations increase interest in mobility, rehabilitation, and low-impact exercise, while younger audiences may pursue high-intensity training, competitive events, or hybrid digital experiences. The strongest organizations do not react to these trends after they become obvious. They continuously observe them, adapt to them, and redesign their services before competitors recognize the same opportunities. Sustainability has also become increasingly important. Modern facilities invest in energy-efficient lighting, water conservation systems, durable equipment, and operational practices that reduce long-term costs while responding to growing customer expectations. These decisions are not simply environmental statements. They are economic choices that can improve efficiency over many years while strengthening the reputation of the business. Throughout every stage of this evolution, one principle remains remarkably consistent. Success does not belong to the company with the most machines, the largest building, or even the lowest prices. It belongs to the organization that understands how every part of the system influences every other part. Customer behavior affects revenue. Revenue determines investment. Investment shapes experience. Experience strengthens retention. Retention stabilizes cash flow. Stable cash flow creates the confidence to invest again. The cycle continues, becoming stronger with every improvement and weaker with every neglected detail. What appears to be a place where people exercise is, in reality, an adaptive economic system that must constantly learn, evolve, and respond to forces both inside and outside its walls. And that continuous ability to adapt may ultimately become the most valuable asset any fitness center can ever own. Looking back, the biggest surprise is not how a fitness center earns money. It is how different the business becomes once you stop seeing it through the eyes of a customer and start seeing it through the eyes of an owner. At first, everything appears wonderfully simple. People walk in hoping to become stronger, healthier, and more confident. They spend time with friends, complete workouts, and head home believing they have simply visited another place to exercise. But hidden beneath every workout is an economic system quietly coordinating thousands of decisions that most people never notice. Every membership represents future cash flow. Every renewal reflects trust that has been earned over time. Every empty machine at certain hours and every busy class at others reveal the constant balancing act between capacity and demand. Every trainer, every maintenance technician, every software platform, every marketing campaign, and every operational process exists because they support the same invisible objective of keeping the system healthy enough to continue serving its members. That is why the true asset has never been the equipment itself. Exercise machines lose value over time. Buildings require constant investment. Interior designs eventually become outdated. Technology changes. Consumer preferences evolve. Competitors continue entering the market. Even the strongest facilities cannot escape these realities. Yet one asset can become more valuable with every passing year. A trusted brand. A loyal membership base. Reliable operating systems. Experienced leadership. Actionable data. A culture that consistently delivers positive experiences. Those intangible assets are remarkably difficult to copy because they are built gradually through thousands of small decisions made every single day. This leads to the final paradox. Many people dream of owning a fitness center because they imagine owning a building filled with equipment that produces recurring income. In reality, the equipment is only the visible infrastructure supporting a much larger behavioral economy. The business does not simply generate revenue from exercise. It creates value by helping people sustain routines that they struggle to maintain on their own. Every recurring payment reflects optimism about the future. Every successful renewal reflects another month in which the system remained valuable enough to justify continuing the journey. The most successful operators understand that they are not managing treadmills or weight rooms. They are managing expectations, habits, relationships, operational discipline, financial resilience, and long-term trust all at the same time. Remove any one of those elements, and the entire system gradually becomes less stable. Strengthen them together, and the business becomes increasingly resilient even as markets continue changing around it. In the end, owning a fitness center is not about selling access to a place where people exercise. It is about designing an environment where motivation can survive long enough to become routine, where routine becomes loyalty, where loyalty becomes predictable cash flow, and where predictable cash flow supports continuous reinvestment that improves the experience once again. The cycle repeats, quietly reinforcing itself year after year. That is why the most valuable thing you ultimately own is not the building, the equipment, or even the memberships. You own a living economic system built on human behavior, sustained by trust, and strengthened every time someone decides that tomorrow they will come back again.